Yeah.
You know what I mean? So I don't know.
Yeah.
Maybe I'm doing the wrong thing. Who knows? I'm always doing the wrong thing, Eric.
It's always more fun. I mean, the outcome,
doing
the
the
results aren't fun, but
the results always turn into a disaster, right?
yeah, for sure. That's what.
I mean, that's like our podcast in a nutshell.
Just do it wrong until it's right.
Do it wrong until it's right. Exactly. Speaking of our podcast, welcome to the show. Greetings, citizens of Earth.
That's their name now.
Yes, citizens of Earth. I'm gonna refer to all of our listeners as greetings, citizens of Earth.
I like it.
Yeah. And then I'm going to be like, welcome to the show, greetings, citizens of Earth. That's how I'm going to do it.
It's a beautiful name. It's a family name.
It very much so. Now, but for real, greetings, citizens of Earth. Welcome to the Accelerativ Thrust. I'm Dan.
And I'm Erik.
And guess what? We're going to talk about records today.
Yeah.
That's something that's never been done.
No, especially on this podcast.
But before you hear that, I would also like you to go back and hear some other episodes. Get yourself familiar with the entire thing. Our entire output, all 58 episodes worth. Yeah. They are available on Transistor and Google. And God, man, why am I blanking out on? Spotify. Spotify is the big one. Content Made Right. Amazon, all those things. You can go back and you can listen to our voices for hours.
We have reviewed some really cool records, by the way.
We really have.
I wish we could go back and re-review some of them, because
me too.
They're so good. So you guys should go back and listen to them. I'm not saying our reviews are good, but some of the records, like just off the top of my head, like White Noise. Remember that one?
Yes, White Noise.
That's awesome.
Yep.
There's so many good ones. You guys should just go back, listen through them all. But no, for real. When I look through sometimes some of the old episodes, I'm like, wow. We always should have done 2 non-locals every week instead of 3 a piece.
Yes.
Because
I'm kind of glad we really did. And I'm kind of glad that we have that back catalog now.
Yeah.
It's really, really great. Dude, there was some really hilarious news this week.
Oh, snap. What happened?
Man. Okay, so check this out. Okay. You've heard of Wendy's, right?
The restaurant, yeah.
The restaurant Wendy's.
Yeah.
Did you read this article I sent you?
Where they were talking smack to someone?
Yeah, they were talking. So
what happened?
Listen to this. So apparently Wendy's has, I guess January 12th is the hashtag National Roast Day for American burger chain Wendy's. So that was whenever. Apparently somebody at Wendy's who I guess runs the Twitter account or something must know a lot about metal because they just kept roasting metal bands on their Wendy's Twitter to the point where apparently these metal bands are familiar with this. It must happen every year. But Lamb of God was let's hear it at Wendy's. And then Wendy's responded, my dad really dug your stuff. Under Oath, Wendy's is like, new stuff sounds like my little brother trying to cuss for the first time. Attack. They have the best one. All right, burger bozos, let's get this party started.
Dang.
And then their response is, guess when the other former members turn you down, the only real option is becoming a metalcore version of the Midnight. Winds of Plague is like, let's hear it to Wendy's. Wendy's is like, something no one has said about your music since 2009.
Wow.
They're
rude. Yeah.
I got to say, Wendy's is kind of killing it there, man. So I didn't know that there was even a Wendy's National Roast Day that had to do with metal, but that's kind of cool. It kind of makes me want to support their little franchise, that independent burger joint.
Yeah.
Go and get myself one of those dollar sausage biscuits. They have breakfast now, you know.
And I didn't.
Mhm.
Sorry. Yeah. Wow. They should have called it National Grill Day.
They totally should have called it National Grill Day. You know, that makes a lot of sense, but that would be more appropriate for Burger King. But because, you know, they're the only ones that flame broil their burgers. Actually, I guess Wendy's does have a grill, don't they?
Yeah, a flat iron grill.
Flat iron grill, yeah. Do you remember that band He Who Corrupts?
Mm-hmm. I do.
So I remember they played a show in Muscatine, and I overheard one of the members was talking to one of our acquaintances, Noah from Aseeth. Mm-hmm. He said that our bass player, we went through Wendy's and our bass player got a triple stack because at the time they were doing the single, double, and triple stacks with double the meat.
Gross.
So 6 patties.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's like a meat caterpillar.
A meat caterpillar, yeah. Or a meat mountain, which Arby's actually has.
A meat mountain?
Yeah, it's like a giant roast beef sandwich. Like, I don't know. And I think it also has bacon and cheese on it too. Like all of these like unhealthy things.
Wow.
Mm-hmm. So Machine Gun Kelly and Megan Fox got married and they drank each other's blood at the wedding.
Well, that's cool.
The best thing about it is that the article opens up with Slipknot public enemy #1, Machine Gun Kelly.
What does that mean?
Because Slipknot, because Machine Gun Kelly had a little feud with Slipknot.
The whole band?
Yeah, I think mainly just Corey Taylor.
Oh, okay.
I think like he was making fun of Slipknot on stage or something. I don't even know. I don't want to give out fake news or disinformation here, but I think he said something about Slipknot, and I think Corey Taylor talked shit about Machine Gun Kelly because he was a rapper who's now making rock music. Like he's doing like pop punk now. And I think Corey Taylor kind of said like, well, you're not a real rock musician, you know, or something like that. I think it was one of those situations.
Awesome.
But anyway, in any case,
I don't know anything about anything. I'm just like, you could be saying like, and then the Thundercats got real mad at Papa Smurf, and it said like there none of this is real at all.
Dude, have you?
I don't know any of these people.
I found a book in Goodwill years ago called Saturday Morning Mind Control.
Whoa. And
I want to find it again because it has one of my favorite covers of all time. It has like a TV with a Ninja Turtle holding like a flying V guitar coming out of it. And it's written by this total like crazy Christian guy. I can't think of his name. And it like is talking about the satanic influence that all Saturday morning cartoons had on kids in the 80s. Like Papa Smurf is a wizard. Master Splinter was using telepathy to communicate with his students, the turtles, through like satanic practices and witchcraft. It was amazing. I was like, dude, I never knew Papa Smurf was a wizard who performed black magic. So I tell everybody that now whenever they're like, hey, I like the Smurfs. I'm like, well, did you know that Papa Smurf was a wizard? Like, and I'll say that about Master Splinter too. Well, you know that when he sits in that lotus position and he like is meditating, that's black magic. That's witchcraft.
Jeez. Wow.
Yeah.
I didn't know either. I knew Gargamel was a wizard.
Oh yeah, but he's one of the safe wizards.
Or he's one of the ones that tells you he's bad, so it's not so bad.
Right, so it's not so bad. He already knows.
The Marilyn Manson defense.
The Marilyn Manson defense. Hey, all of this ties into the next news story that doesn't really have a lot to do with music, but it can.
Okay.
So did you hear about the after-school Satan Club that's targeting children's ages 6 to 11 at an Illinois elementary school in Moline?
You know, I did hear about that because I think John Burns might have posted something about it.
I'm sure he did.
And I think it's interesting. But what's the article say?
Well, I mean, the article just basically is just saying, I don't know, an Illinois school district is under fire for allowing an after-school Satan club. Parents are outraged after a flyer inviting Jane Addams Elementary students ages 6 to 11 to an after-school Satan club circulated on social media. Now, the Satanic Temple's co-founder, who I am familiar with, his name is Lucian Greaves.
Yeah.
And dude, this whole thing, this after-school Satan club, what these Moline, Illinois parents don't understand, this has been going on for years at various school districts across the country. Now, Lucian Greaves, the founder of the Satanic Temple, if I'm not mistaken, I also think it was in Omaha or somewhere, they put up a statue of Baphomet, like in somewhere like downtown or something.
Yeah, pretty much any town that displays the 10 Commandments.
Yes,
they file to put in a statue of the Baphomet. Yep.
Yeah, exactly.
Right.
So Lucian Greaves, though, was on Tucker Carlson like 4 or 5 years ago.
Yeah.
And so I was familiar with this guy like 4 or 5 years ago because my dad watches Fox News. And so I like to watch Fox News sometimes too, just to see what Fox News is thinking. I mean, I'm like that with all news organizations. Here's the thing is this letter, I mean, it's the exact same letter. Like 5 years ago, there was like conspiracy YouTubers and stuff talking about this after school Satan club in like Rhode Island or something. It's literally the same exact letter.
For sure.
So this has been going on for like years. It's so interesting. But okay, from what I am seeing, or some information I gathered, if this is true, now don't take my word for this, anybody, Lucian Greaves, if you're listening to this, feel free to get a hold of Tucker. I'd like Tucker Carlson, if you're listening to this, feel free to get on this, podcast and clear things up, because I'm sure you know a lot about the Satan Club. But anyway, that I think they should change their name from the Satanic Temple to the Satan Club. But I like it too. But anyway, my understanding is that the Church of Satan is not a fan of the Satanic Temple. Now, I heard that this is because the Church of Satan admits that they worship the devil, and the Satanic Temple claims they don't, and that the Satanism they practice has nothing to do with the devil, but more with other like community outreach or something like that. So anyway, I just thought that was, if that is not disinfo, if it is, I am sorry, Lucian Greaves. I am sorry. Well, I can't really apologize to Anton LaVey anymore, can I?
It depends on what you believe, I guess.
Justin Pearson from The Locust, I think, is now a minister of the Church of Satan.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, he's been posting some stuff on his Instagram about something like that. But anyway, I'm into it. I mean, I've said it on here a million times. I love Satan. He's great. Satan is good.
But the thing about it is that both the Satanic Temple and the Church of Satan really are truly at their core just secular humanism. The difference is that the Church of Satan, in order to sell more copies of the Satanic Bible, they put in a bunch of kind of fake ass devil worship stuff in the back of the book. The rest of it really is just kind of like the secular humanist Bible. But he wanted to sell more copies of it, and it worked. And, I think the Satanic Temple is more about showing the hypocrisy of freedom of religion versus freedom from religion, and things like that. So I don't know how well they get along. I'm sure they have to not like each other so they can both continue to make money.
Yeah.
So
yeah.
Excuse me. That was Satan making me cough.
Got
a breath full of brimstone in my lungs.
I think now fire and brimstone in the throat of Erik.
Always.
I think now would be the perfect time for me to announce my book coming out.
Oh yeah.
The Christian Rap Rock Bible.
Oh yeah. Wow.
Or actually the Christian Rap Metal Bible. I just changed it.
Oh.
It's about Christian rap metal bands.
Oh. Well, does it teach you how to perform Christian rap metal?
Well, the first half of it talks about that, but then the second half I include a bunch of like anti-witch stuff to try and sell more copies.
Wow. Yeah.
And not only that, but it's also talking about how like Fred Durst and people like that are actual Christian good guys.
Oh, wow.
Like yeah. I'm exposing the rap metal community for what it really is, a bunch of
Christian nice guys.
Christian good guys, exactly. So that's the whole thing, really.
Fred is pretty clean cut, you know.
Yeah, I mean, he looks like a dad in his new photos.
Depends on socioeconomics, but he looked like a dad before.
Well, that's true. I mean, maybe. But this time,
you know how many dads I've met with NASCAR beards and backwards
this time he looks like a real dad, not a fake one. Oh man. Anyway.
Oh boy.
Getting way off topic here. Let's talk about some records.
Cool. Yeah. Wow. kind of out of breath after all that, you know?
Yeah, there was a lot of satanic and Christian talk there.
Really gets me going.
We're talking about fake dads and all this stuff.
Oh man. It's one thing I hate worse than fake dads.
Yeah.
Real dads.
Real dads. That's the only thing.
They are the worst.
They are. Oh man.
Ugh. Anyway.
Sorry, Dad.
My record probably has a dad in it. I don't know.
Yeah, probably.
I actually don't know where they're from. I don't know who's in the band. I didn't really do much research because I don't know why. Sometimes I don't like to know. Sometimes I like things to be a mystery. Absolutely. And these guys are kind of mysterious. They are called the Kundalini Genie. And the record is called Half In, Half Out. It came out just this year. The Kundalini Genie has a few things that they've released. And I've only heard bits of the older stuff. And it's pretty similar to this record. Now, I'm saying Kundalini, and that sounds like maybe a bad word, but I looked it up, and it has nothing to do with what you think it does. It's a kind of yoga. The Kundalini Genie is, I guess, at its core, a psych band. I don't think anyone would disagree with that. I also think it falls somewhere between sort of like neo psychedelia, you know, but also there's a bit of shoegaze to this whole thing and dream pop a little bit, at least as far as the guitar work. I really liked it. Sometimes with this kind of music, I feel like things get really cliche and it's like, well, if you've heard one, you've heard them all. But this one was a little bit different because they did sort of let it get a little mellower, kind of, you know, like shoegaze stuff. It never really gets too heavy as far as like heavy psych stuff. It's like certain groups like, I don't know, Denava or Assemble Head and Sunburst Sound or something like that. They're more like a heavy metal. They're more like heavy metal that gets psychedelic. This one's just really psychedelic. It stays mellow, definitely fuzzed out though. The songs take you a lot of places, but I think it pays attention a little bit more to maybe like some of the 60s pop that was happening versus some of the 60s acid rock. So you have that in there too. I really like the vocalist. I think the vocals add a nice mellow anchor to everything, even if the music does get a little out there or a little too groovy or whatever. It never feels like they're playing the part of a psych band because the vocalist kind of holds it together. Not to say there isn't the classic reverbs and tremolos and things on the vocals, but it just never really gets into like, I don't know, like Deep Purple kind of screaming and stuff. You know, it's a really nice pop oriented sound to that. The other thing I noticed that was interesting about this record was the guitar is very twangy, the main guitar, lots of reverb, tremolo. Like we always talk about twanginess on this show because, well, I'm obsessed with it. And it's usually in regards to something more like Twin Peaks or Charlie Majera or whatever, and things like that, more like retro 50s rock and roll country kind of stuff. And I think this had a lot in it for what it is, which is, modern psych. Overall, I think it was a nice, mellow psych record, but it did have some dreamier elements in it. And they did let their guard down a little bit. And there's even some acoustic tracks and things like that. So yeah, I think it comes off as a little less like the heavy psych that we're all used to and a little more like psych pop. I enjoyed it quite a bit. So what'd you think, Dan?
Yeah, I think that's exactly what it is this from the get-go reminded me of like 60s style psychedelic pop and dreamy sort of like that was one of the things that I could use to describe the guitar tone. Has like a dreamy, so that shoegaze element that you're talking about. I think the songs are really well put together here as well. Sometimes it reminds me of like something like maybe the Velvet Underground, maybe not as experimental as that was. Brian Jonestown Massacre kind of comes to mind too when it comes to like modern type stuff. And this might sound a little weird, but there were even parts of it that reminded me of like the Doors a little bit.
Sure. Yeah.
Or something along those lines. So that classic rock that you're talking about definitely is here. But another thing that I really thought that this really reminded me of was Dark Family.
Yeah, for sure.
Like Condor and Jaybird, Dark Family, all of Jeremy Anderson's music, like kind of reminded me of this. It's psychedelic, but I don't know if you can necessarily call it psychedelic. I think Condor and Jaybird and Dark Family get a little more rockin' than this at times.
I think so too.
Like a little more punkier, like than this. I hear like elements of like West Coast pop art experimental band, even like Blur and Oasis, honestly. Like there all kinds of stuff. I think if you dig all of this, all of the stuff that I mentioned, I really think that there's something here for you.
Yeah. Honestly, if someone did like Dark Family after we reviewed it, I would say check this out too. I mean,
absolutely.
It's not like they either one sound just like the other.
No, not at all.
They're definitely in the same realm.
Like I would put them both in the same category.
Yeah.
But they're both clearly two totally different bands that are doing their own thing.
Yeah, absolutely.
So yeah, I really enjoyed this a lot.
Nice.
So yeah. All right. So my pick is from a group called The Internet. And the name of the record is Ego Death. This is their third album. They have 4 albums out to date, I believe. The Internet is a kind of an R&B / funk / I would say maybe hip hop inspired band. And they're a full band. And they came out in the early days. They were part of the Odd Future clique or the Odd Future like crew. So when they first came out, they were associated with artists like Tyler, the Creator, and Earl Sweatshirt. And everybody else was doing rap music, but these guys were doing this kind of music. And so I always thought that was really interesting. Plus, I feel like if you look back on Odd Future, when they were, I guess they're not really a thing so much anymore. It's not really a crew anymore because everyone kind of went their own separate ways. The 2 biggest names are obviously Tyler, the Creator, is kind of like I guess for lack of a better way to describe it, leader, or like I hate to say the leader, but it's definitely the most popular one, the one that everyone knows. And then Earl Sweatshirt got a lot of attention too. But there were a lot of other artists that fell under the Odd Future umbrella that didn't really get a lot of, I don't know, for whatever reason, they didn't get a lot of attention. And the Internet, I feel, is in a way kind of one of them, or at least I don't think that they got the attention that they deserve. Let me kind of like say, I actually don't really listen to a lot of R&B. It's just never really been my thing at all. There's something about the way that the internet does it that just attracts me to it. I don't even know why. It's the best way that I can describe this is like a hip hop inspired R&B album, but it also has like funk and even to a certain extent punk rock tendencies. There's something kind of punkish about the way that they approach the R&B that I think maybe is what attracts me to it. It's very smooth instrumentation, very gorgeous sounding record. The singer's name is Sid. She used to go by the name Sid the Kid. That's the only member whose name I know, but this is a full band. They got a bassist, a guitarist, drummer. I think they may even have a DJ. There's guests on here, like guest rappers, like Vic Menza makes an appearance. Tyler, the Creator himself, makes an appearance. But it's a very, very gorgeous sounding record that really has that R&B feel to it. But there's also a grittiness to it that one of the groups that I could really compare this to musically would be like the Roots, like especially like the earlier Roots stuff. And that's not just because the Roots are also a full band. It's just that I hear a lot of that sort of style, but doing it, I guess, through the filter of, I don't know, almost like punk here, because the bass is kind of a little like, I don't know, the production on it has this sort of just a little bit of grit to it, like that the bass almost reminds me of like a Fugazi record or something. I know that sounds really weird. That sounds like that, you know, you listen to this, like I'm gonna say this does not sound like Fugazi. So if you're expecting that, no, but something about the bass and the rhythm section and the drums, it reminds me of that rhythmic sort of situation going on. I think that if you're a fan of Erykah Badu, Lauryn Hill, even like Funkadelic to a certain extent, with the production of like A Tribe Called Quest, Diggable Planets, like I mentioned, The Roots, a lot of the conscious hip hop from the 90s and beyond. That's what this record, that's what the music on this record sounds like. But Sid's got a really killer voice. And that is the star here, as far as I'm concerned. That's, I mean, not the instrumentation is amazing. They're obviously skilled musicians, but Sid really has a great voice, and I think a unique voice for this style of music. So yeah, I really enjoyed this, and I've listened to all their other albums, and they're all just as good, but this one really stood out for me. What did you think of it, Erik?
Well, okay. So let me start by saying that modern soul music and modern R&B is a style that I have a really hard time enjoying. And I'm just throwing that out there.
Sure.
And just trying to be real because, and I get it sort of like, I numerous times it showed my wife something, right? And I'm like, look, I know it's heavy metal, right? But it's, you know, it's really interesting, or they're doing this cool thing or whatever. And a lot of times and not just my wife, but lots of people, you know, they'll say, yeah, I can see that that's interesting, but I just don't like the sound of distorted guitars and aggressive vocals. And anything that is made using that, some people are going to have a hard time getting into.
Yeah.
The way it is, you know?
Sure. Yeah.
And I've never really experienced that often, because usually if I hear something that, like I said, there's only a handful of types of music where when it comes on, I'm like, and I just go to the next thing or something. But unfortunately, yeah, R&B and modern soul kind of stuff is that way for me. But since we pick records and we have to listen to them, that wasn't an option. And at the end of the day, I'm really glad it wasn't an option, because I ended up liking a lot of aspects of this. So with that being said, I'm just going to kind of talk about the things that I really liked about it. And with the underlying idea of I don't usually listen to this kind of stuff. So I might be talking out my ass because I don't understand anything, but that's the way it is. So anyway, with all that being said, I did think it was really, really well done. And I thought it was really interesting. And that's something I didn't expect out of it when it started. I didn't expect it to be interesting. You know what I mean?
Right.
I expected it to be just kind of mellow and laid back and not take a lot of chances, but it did. It's cool. It's like, it just feels like a soul record or an R&B record till maybe the third song. And then all of a sudden there's like rapping and it's like,
yes.
Oh, wait, what happened?
Yep.
And like, at first you think like this is all made on a synth or whatever, because it has that sound to it, just kind of like a standard soul R&B production sound for a little bit. And then you're like, oh, wait, that fill was interesting, or that bass part was interesting. Oh shit, I think people are really playing this, you know? So like it took me by surprise, a lot of these elements. It's a really nice mix of soul and hip hop. And yeah, it sounds like a live band with samples. The production doesn't sleep. You might think of a live band playing R&B music would just phone it in to an extent, but they really don't. They're really playing, they're really pushing some boundaries. Lots of effects, a lot of breakdowns and breaks and changes in the production, a lot of really interesting production ideas. And like I said, it just makes it into this really interesting listen. And the vocals are great too, just like you said. I mean, they're basically flawless. I really like the lyrics. They also break out of the mold that I thought we were in, you know, like there's one song where there's a refrain where in the background, she just keeps singing, "You fucked up."
Yeah.
You fucked up. And it's like really good. And so with all the things I said at the beginning of this review, I ended up really enjoying this record. And I would say if you like R&B and soul and mellow, very mellow, laid back hip hop, you will like this already, but you'll also probably be surprised at some of the decisions they made and risks they took and just how inventive a lot of the production and music is. So
sure.
I ended up being really surprised by it and liking it. So thanks for picking it, because like I said, I probably would have, you know, I listen to the first 30 seconds of a lot of first tracks these days to see if I'm interested in reviewing something.
Me too.
Listening. Me too. And this one wouldn't have made it for me, but I'm glad that you picked it. So
yeah, it's one of those things, honestly, like when I first listened to it, I checked it out just because it was Odd Future, and it didn't really make the cut for me. It took me a while to really understand what it was. But the best way, and this is probably not, I don't know, this might be entirely inaccurate, but in my mind, this sounds like an R&B record on Discord Records, because I did hear, as smooth and as gorgeous as the production was, I heard just a tad bit of grit. You know what I mean?
For sure.
That I really enjoyed. Like it sounded almost like, it really sounded like they just recorded this in a room, you know, with, I mean, I don't know. There's something really kind of, I guess, honest about the recording that I really liked.
Yeah, for sure.
So yeah, it's always good to check out things. And I learned that lesson with this too, that sometimes if you just like go past the second or third track, that's when you start to really pick up on the real like meat of the album, you know?
For sure. Yeah. Yeah. It's probably pretty unfair for me to judge whole albums by
dude. I do
the first track, but I think I've said this on the show before, but I really stand by it. Like they say, don't judge a book by its cover. And they probably say, don't judge an album by its cover. Here's the thing. If a band has a shitty name and they have a shitty cover and the titles of their songs are shitty, and then I start the first song and it's also shitty, I can pretty much assume that our tastes don't match up.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like I've had people say that, like, oh, well, I mean, you can't really judge it by its cover. I'm like, I kind of can, actually.
Yeah.
If you have a shitty enough cover, I know that you don't have good taste.
That's true. That's true.
At least it doesn't align with my taste, you know?
Right. Yeah.
So
Totally.
I do listen to a lot of the, first half of the first song on albums.
Sure. Yeah. So now on to something totally interesting. This is a local Iowa City release from a solo project. It describes itself as bedroom pop, called Sound Science. I enjoyed the hell out of this. I found this just because in mine and Eric's quest to try and have at least one local release on every record review episode, I was like, well, who's coming out with stuff? And I couldn't really find anything that current, but I came across Sound Science and I just thought it looked kind of interesting. I liked the description. And originally I said, well, his latest project I could find is Infinite Midlife Crisis. And we were actually going to review that last week. The problem with that is that Erik saw the real date it was released. And I thought that it was released in 2021, December of 2021, but it was actually released in December 2020. So the most recent one was this full-length Palace of Calm, although he has he did release like a Christmas EP.
I did see that. Yeah.
And yeah, I just think it would be better. I think both of us agree it would be better just to review his original work, which is absolutely. Palace of Calm was the latest full length that he recorded. Now I listened to Infinite Midlife Crisis and I listened to Palace of Calm both.
Yeah.
I enjoy the hell out of this project. This is just excellent, for lack of a better way to describe it. Excellent electronic style twee pop would be like the best way I could. It's got great production. There's lots of pitch shifted vocals and all kinds of just joyful sounds. It sounds really uplifting too, like just in some way. I don't know, something about it just brings me joy. I'm not quite sure if that's what this is all about. On his Bandcamp, he kind of describes this, I don't know word for word, but I think that this record is kind of about trying to find like inner peace or something along those lines. But in any case, there's a lot of cool sounds on here. A lot of drum sounds, a lot of kind of synths, strange, playful sounds that I don't even know exactly what they are necessarily. The first song really reminds me, and this is not an insult because I actually like this song, Owl City. They had that one hit that's like, I want to make her believe. I don't know the words, but it was a huge hit. Like, I think it was like something like a Firefly or something. I hadn't heard that song in years, but that's what the first track really made me think of. But it just, as it goes on, it just got more and more interesting. To the point, I don't really even know necessarily what to describe this as. I mean, bedroom pop, I guess, definitely describes it. Because you can tell that it was a solo project in a way, but there's a lot going on just with the sounds and everything. That I guess the term that I came up with is like alien mutant pop. I mean, it's just because it sounds alien. It sounds alien, but in like the best ways. It's so interesting, like almost like experimental pop, I guess, could be maybe, but it's also just really catchy. As far as comparisons go, I mean, I hear a little bit of stuff like Flaming Lips sometimes, even like Weezer, even Ween with some of the pitch shifted vocals. The Steve Burns solo album, I don't know if you're familiar with that one, Songs for Dust Mites.
No.
Where, you know who Steve Burns was, the first host of Blues Clues.
Oh, okay.
He left that show and made a solo album with the Flaming Lips as his backing band.
Wow.
And this kind of reminds me of that because it has almost like a childlike sound to it. Like it just sounds like a blast. Like this was a blast to make. I hear a little bit of maybe something like Pulsars, even Bruce Hack kind of comes to mind with some of the childlikeness. Mates of State Apples in Stereo, all of that stuff kind of comes to mind, but this doesn't sound like any of those at the same time. It's 100% like its own thing. And for somebody to be making this in their bedroom in Iowa City, I think is amazing.
Yeah.
So thank you, Garrett. This is a fantastic release. What did you think, Erik?
I loved it. I mean, I just loved it. I don't know really what else to say. It's wild.
It is. It's very wild.
And I don't know. Here's what I was talking to my wife. She's the only person I talk to, by the way. So if you're starting to get that sense, you're completely accurate.
And Erik's lying because he talks to me once a week.
Right. I talk to Dan for approximately an hour and a half once a week. The rest of the time it is just my wife. But it was funny because I was like, I cannot believe I don't know this Garrett guy. Like, I can't believe it that someone's making music like this in my town. And it's not like I think I'm Mr. Cool and like I know everybody or whatever, but it seems like something that I love this much I probably should have discovered before this point. She pointed out that maybe this person's young, and that would probably explain why I didn't know them.
Yeah.
But yeah, I it's so great. It's hard to categorize. And I feel like maybe I heard it a little bit darker than you, Dan, but that doesn't matter. It's like it lends itself to being heard in different ways. So I kind of just thought it was like synth based pop, but very sparse and almost darkish. Like to me, it felt very much like 80s synth pop, with a couple other different elements in there too. Like I said, synth pop, IDM, honestly, like brain dance, which is like what they call Aphex Twin's music genre, I guess. But
really, they call that brain dance?
I guess so. And even elements of classical. There are, I mean, piano and string.
Yeah, that's totally true.
And also, though, it reminded me of like electronic based indie rock stuff, like you mentioned, Dan, but also like The Knife or Broadcast, things like that, you know. The other element of it, because I'm basically just trying to stay away from stuff you already said, so I'm kind of splicing this together.
Right.
The other element, though, is the rhythms. They're super nice rhythms and polyrhythms, like really smart and almost like Talking Heads or like no wave kind of thing, like a certain ratio. If you ever listen to them, like a lot of really interesting rhythms going on, like Remain in Light level Talking Head style rhythms. The thing about it, though, that really did it for me, I love his voice. I mean, I am in love with his voice.
So fantastic.
It's amazing. And when I was thinking about it and listening to it, two main singers came to mind, and I knew that wasn't quite right, but those two singers are Kurt Smith from Tears for Fears, and Dave Gaughan from Depeche Mode. Yeah. And the music reminded me a lot of Depeche Mode too.
Yeah, it definitely had a very like new wave sort of thing too.
But the one person that I realized I thought he sounded just like was Justin Broderick from Jesu.
Really?
Yeah. Like if you listen to Jesu and then listen to this, it's almost uncanny, which is hilarious. But I do love this vocal style, and it's one that is missing in almost everything. I mean, there's a lot of neo goth groups that do like a Peter Murphy style vocal or whatever, but this 80s new wave high baritone singing, very much like Tears for Fears. Like you'll be singing along and the note is so high, but he's singing like this, and you think it sounds like a baritone, but it's actually a really high note. I really miss that. People used to do that in the 80s all the time, and I love it. I loved all of it. Spandau Ballet, Naked Eyes, any of them. That kind of vocal style just does it for me. And so I loved that. There are a lot of effects on the vocals, a lot of vocoding, a lot of reverbs, delay, pitch shifting, and things like that. But his voice always cuts through, and it's always present. And I can't say enough about it. Like, sometimes I'm really overwhelmed by someone's vocal style. It's not that often, but every once in a while. And this is definitely one of those moments.
Yeah, it's amazing.
And I like I said, I can't believe, just like you said, that this is happening here, that I don't know anything about it. I would love to know more about it. I can't wait to go back through the full discography and hear all of it.
Yeah, me too.
And this was just a great discovery, Dan.
Yeah, it was just random. And like, I don't know. I like the description of it. I like the aesthetic of it, the way it looked. It just looked like something that you and I could possibly like.
Oh yeah, for sure.
It was really good. So my takeaway from your review is that if you like Jesu, Godflesh, and Napalm Death, all the bands that Justin Broderick has been in.
No, but if you find his voice really beautiful and Jason like I do, I think there's a comparison. I really do.
I didn't know that Justin Broderick was in Napalm Death.
Yeah.
I had no idea. That's insane. I watched that documentary for like probably the 6th time, Slave to the Grind. Have you seen that?
Yeah.
When they started out, everyone had to just be like, you guys are not going anywhere.
Oh,
and they have longevity up the ass, even though I guess there literally are no original members. Like, I think that's hilarious.
Yeah.
So I don't know.
I mean, yeah. If your songs are only going to go on for 30 seconds, it's like, The
thing is they don't. Have you listened to much Napalm Death?
It's changed a lot.
It's changed a lot. But even on Scum, the first, like, there's that one part where that one dude from Anal Cunt, the guitar player, he was all like, people were saying like, don't listen to side 2 first. Side 1 kind of sucks, because side 1 starts off really slow and it's like a 2-minute song or something. And all the grindcore fans were listening. They're like, this sucks. This isn't fast. And then all of a sudden, like a minute in, it just goes nonstop.
Yeah. Nice.
Crazy. I never was really into Napalm. I used to think Napalm Death were like a death metal band or something. I never really knew what grindcore was until the late 90s, when I started seeing like local bands do that kind of stuff.
But yeah, if you like Napalm Death, check out Sound Science.
And if you'd like to talk, contact us, Garrett.
Yeah.
We want to talk to you about if Justin Broderick was an influence on your vocal style.
I know it's ridiculous, but he sounds just like him.
Yeah, well, hey, dude, man. And Jesu is a great band. I mean,
oh, for sure.
It's great.
I saw him play Silver live, and I think I had an out of body experience. So.
Oh, I can imagine. I'm sure that band is amazing live.
They're loud.
Well, every band that's going to be connected to like Justin Broderick is going to be loud. That's just to be expected. Yeah. You know what else is to be expected?
What?
Local shows.
Oh,
speaking of live music,
you would think. No, there are some.
All right, let's hear them.
All right. So today there are no shows, but tomorrow, Friday, at the Gas Lamp, that's in Des Moines, it's going to be Anthony Warden and the Illiterati with the host country. Saturday the 22nd, this one's at Lefties Live Music. It's going to be Bongzilla.
Ooh.
Yeah, Bongzilla with Druids. Nice. And Handlebar. That will be sick. That's at Lefties on Saturday. Now, here's an interesting one for Sunday, the 23rd. Check this out. Okay, at the Gas Lamp, At 3 p.m., you have the Cryptics, the Surf Zombies, Hookshot, Seth, Chloe, and the Silver Liners. Okay. Gas Lamp, 3 o'clock. Then at Lefties, live music at 7 p.m., you have the Cryptics with Americature and Resurrection Mary. So seemingly you could see the Cryptics at 3 o'clock at the Gas Lamp and then at 7 o'clock at Lefties. So if you like the Cryptics, they're from New Hampshire, then goddamn, that is your lucky day. Buy a lottery ticket. And then we have one more show. That one's going to be on Tuesday, the 25th. It's going to be sick. I'm going to maybe go. Dan even said he might go.
Yes, I might.
It's Mall. Sorry. Goddamn. Oh, jeez. Okay.
Satan doesn't want you to go to that show.
Oh, the brimstone. No. So, okay. Mall, Dose, Swing Low, and Psyop. That's going to be at Gabe's on the 25th, Tuesday. The old recording and performing drummer of Psyop, Jake, will be on our show next week.
And so will Justin Comer.
Justin K. Comer.
Yes. Whose tape we reviewed a couple weeks back.
Yeah. So they're going to be on the show. And that's going to be sick, I think.
It is. It's going to be really
Hopefully
sick.
I can get all this brimstone out of my lungs. Oh, God. Sorry.
So are you okay?
That wasn't a prayer, by the way.
Okay. All right. Are you?
It was just an exclamation.
Yeah. Do you think that that's what's going on for real with everybody? Is they're just catching brimstone?
Yeah, brimstone 19.
Brimstone 19.
That's what it is. Oh, Jesus.
We should not be joking about any of this.
Oh, I don't care. I'm dying.
Yeah, I don't care either.
I got nothing left to lose now.
Nothing left to lose. Kind of
I'm
like
just gonna torch this world on my way out.
There you go. Hey, I checked out the first couple of songs of the Faster Pussycat first album.
Yeah, it's ill, right?
Yeah, I was like, wow, yeah, this doesn't even really sound like everything else from that era. What a interesting sound.
Yeah, it's boogie woogie, and the guy's voice.
Yeah.
Oh wow, it's so good.
It really is. It's so like.
I don't even know what he's doing, man.
Yeah, I mean,
cool.
I don't know what the whole band is doing.
I'm just trying to make the best out of a bad situation.
Yeah, it's so crazy. Man. Like, who sings like that?
I don't know. What's his name? Tay Downes?
Yeah, I don't even know, dude. Do you remember an old 80s band called Keel?
Yeah, I do.
I remember there was a show on MTV. It was kind of like a Where Are They Now 80s hair bands.
Mm-hmm.
And for some reason, they put Keel on that segment, which was like weird because like I didn't really remember Keel until that came up.
They didn't matter. That's what you're trying to say.
Yeah, they didn't matter. Exactly. And they cut to this. They're like, well, they showed like this like video of Ronnie Keel like screaming behind the mic going, ah! And then there's like this fire like exploding in the background, like every 80s hair metal video, you know?
Yeah.
And then he's like, and his choice of music might be a little different today. And then they go to him performing in the back of a pickup truck with an acoustic guitar with a cowboy hat.
Oh,
and he's singing this song where he's like, my horse is a Harley. My gun is a guitar.
Oh, Jesus Christ. Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
Dude.
Well, if you want to see a wild cowboy, you should just look up. I don't know if you say his name Tame Down or Tamey Down.
Yeah, I don't know either.
He's a wild looking dude.
He really
his
is.
voice is just as wild as his face.
Yeah, I don't even.
I like him. Man, he's like the real Marilyn Manson.
Yeah. Yeah,
none of this fake contact in your eye bullshit.
The fake one's a total creep.
Yeah. I'm gonna get way into Tamed Down. Oh, there he is. He got a little hefty.
You're going down the faster rabbit hole.
Jesus Christ. Good one. Wow. Oh man, that's the best joke that's ever been on this podcast.
Yeah, dude.
Wow.
Sometimes I'm good with them, and well, like I get them right like every 5 years.
Plus, you saved our listeners from just listening to me look at Google images of Tammy Down.
Exactly.
Which was already just a shitty moment, and then you just saved it. Nice job.
Well, I mean what we should do? We should invite him on the podcast.
Oh, I would love that.
You think he talks like that? Thank you for having me on. So, how did you get that singing style? Well, it's kind of how I talk. Yeah. I think what you guys are doing are really cool for the local scene.
Oh my God. Oh, I wish he was local. I wish he was my friend.
Me too. It's so good. Like,
if anyone out there knows Tammy Down.
Could you imagine him going to a Wolf Eyes show in Davenport?
Yes, I can. You got to see these photos, guys.
Dude, yeah, absolutely, guys.
Google image search it with me. Let's do it together. Wow, I think I just developed a new celebrity crush. Damn it.
Yeah,
that's all I need in this life.
It's crazy.
Just posters of Tamed Down all over my
Tamed Down. That dude is, dude, that's what you should do. You should just throw out everything, see what your wife says, see what Sarah says. Just be like, throw out everything. Be like, why do you got pictures of this guy? Who is he?
Do you really think you should wear that Faster Pussycat shirt to work?
You're like,
don't tell me my business.
You start talking like that too.
I do what I want.
It's like, it's like Roxo, the rock and roll clown. That's how I talk now.
I'm changed. I'm a changed man, baby.
Oh God, let's get him on here. All right,
dude. Wouldn't that be crazy if that's how the cough sounded? Was like his vocals.
That is kind of what they sound like.
Yeah, that is kind of what they sound like. I do want to know how that guy talks, though.
I obviously can't talk anymore.
Yeah. I think Tane. What's his name? Tane or Tame? Is that it? What is it?
Tame or Tammy? It's spelled like Jamie with a T.
All right, so Tammy, whatever. Peace out.
At the end,
like we're talking to him, man.
That was like I was Janet Jackson on that song. Is that the end?
Is that the end? Oh shit! I forgot.
That's such a great ending, actually.
You brought up Janet Jackson. I gotta say, Janet Jackson's song "Rhythm Nation" slaps.
Yeah, that's a good
like
one.
I heard it on Classic MTV the other day. So I was just like, "Holy shit!" I do not remember this being this good. And then right after that, Debbie Gibson's Electric Youth came on.
Oh, that's a good song.
I don't remember this. And then I looked up Debbie Gibson. She writes all of her own stuff. She wrote all of her own stuff. She's like one of the, and I'm like, you wrote Electric Youth? My gosh, you could totally be in an electronic punk. She could be in like, I don't know, Polysix or something, or Men's Recovery Project. Like,
yeah, so Debbie or MRP, if y'all are listening.
Yeah, MRP
get together.
Sam McFeeters. You could change your name. You guys could like do a project called Debbie McFeeters.
Oh my God.
That was an example of a joke that I just totally blew it with. And with that, ladies and gentlemen, I would like to wish you all a good day, good night, good week.
Yeah.
Good year. I don't know. Who knows when we're going to be on the air next?
Probably next week.
But next week, I would assume, ladies and gentlemen.
Thank you. Stops, folks.
Thank you for listening. You need to check out that Faster Pussycat album, though, and also Sound Science and the internet. And
yeah,
maybe Sound Science is more important than Faster Pussycat, but I would put them in the same
Faster
realm.
Pussycat will always be there. They've always been there.
Absolutely. And while you're at it too, listen to Jesu and the
Kundalini Genie. I've noticed with Faster Pussycat, it'll find you when you're ready to listen to it. You know, it'll find you at that point in your life where you just need it, and it'll change everything.
Dude, yeah, absolutely. Guns N' Roses has a new album out called Hard School. That's coming out. It's coming out next week, supposedly.
Dang.
It actually has Slash and Duff. It has the original band, I guess.
Wow.
It's called Hard School with a K.
Wow.
Hard School.
That's not even funny. Oh, my body's
it is. It's hilarious.
Yeah, that's weird.
Yeah, it is really weird.
Well, let's review it in 2 weeks.
Maybe we should.
Yeah.
All right, guys.
Oh my God.
Have a good week. Get some sleep. Get some rest.
Yeah. If you have a cold, stay home from work. Don't do a podcast.
Yeah. Make sure you don't
just cough all over your pop filter. Shit. Maybe no one even knew I was coughing. Maybe it's a cough filter too.
What you guys are doing are really cool for the local scene.
Oh my God.
That's the end? No.